Hey friends, and welcome to a new episode of ASMR Edition.
It is time for the DPS in the support role that's better than any DPS in the game. Baptiste is insanely OP, better than most DPSs, even though he's a support. Watch ML7. Today's contestant is Anna, the Baptiste player. Anna is currently in Masters 3, and he thinks he deserves GM. Any tips for exo boosts? I just kind of use them to get around buildings for cover right now. The game went okay. I had to carry, although I didn't carry that hard. I got highest stats on my team apart from mitigation by a lot. Since I'm playing Baptiste mainly this season due to him being said to have big carry potential, I'm very new, so I need some advice. My aim isn't amazing to be honest, and positioning needs work, but I just want to see if it just generally I'm bad or if there's something specific. Also, love the titles of Elo Hell videos, make me laugh every time. Hey, I appreciate it, man. For the first fight, I would figure out, is it good enough if I keep my team up? Or do I have to, like, damage more, right? And here the funny thing is, you could have definitely, I feel like you could have definitely saved your Mei there. You had both cooldowns up. The thing is, the shield of the enemy does block your immortality field. Unless I'm a complete noob. You can still save your Mei by jumping over the shield, pressing shift. As long as you're in line of sight, you can give your Mei the support healing burst. You could have definitely saved her there. And yeah, so here's the thing, right? Like, you're trying to play the carry Baptiste style, where you deal a lot of damage while healing your team. But by you focusing so much on damage, you're actually doing nothing. You're not really hitting shots, but you're also not keeping your tank up. And your positioning here is also not great. You still have not used a single one of your cooldowns, and I'm not saying you should just like throw a lamp, like, oh guys, here's a frisbee for you. Lamp is a very long cooldown, you want to use it like in a smart way. But if you're that far away, it's really hard to use it reactively, because it has such a long travel time. You could have definitely done more that fight. If you fall back, you could also have jumped to high ground. I wouldn't worry too much about rockets, like the jumps. Other than for positioning and for dodging when someone flanks you or goes onto you. But yeah, you should be focused way more on healing, okay? There is a combo you can do. Double left click and then right click every time. Like double left click, right click, double left click, right click. Which is really hard to do because then you have to aim, and then right click whoever is low. And you have to do that insanely fast if you want to get the full value out of it. Or one left click, one right click. One left click, one right click. That way you get the maximum amount of healing in while still dealing damage. But what you're doing is you're shooting. Then you shoot like you're playing a DPS pub. You said in your replay that you had the highest stats other than damage mitigation. That would make sense. Because, I mean, you're gonna have more healing than your brick, and you're spending most of the time shooting. So funnily enough, your stats are actually lying to you here, right? You're actually healing too little so far, and you're also dealing not a great amount of damage. If you don't heal your teammates, and your tank or your DPS are always dead, then you'll also have more healing and more damage than your team. Because you're not keeping them alive, even though you're a support. You let your DPS die, so you can have gold damage and gold healing.
What did it cost?
Everything.
I'm not gonna complain about your aim, which, you know, they could definitely improve, need a lot of improvement. But I'm gonna complain about your ability usage multiple times where you could have saved your team and you're not using it properly. You have lamp up. In fact, you use it for yourself. Your definition of carry is let everyone else die and then try to 1v5. You can also carry by keeping your tank up. Throw a lamp on point, then the Ryan knows that he can play around point. Right now he's in panic mode, he's anti. And I know he's charging in like an idiot, but your brick is also anti. At least throw the lamp somewhere.
Don't care.
Instead of letting both of them die, and then using it for yourself. Right? Funnily enough, your brick is actually holding it down. She stayed alive by her own. Well, okay. This is Masters, huh? The enemy team also doesn't have a tank, right? So you can definitely hold your own with good movement. Probably stall until your Mei's on point. And even if you die, your Mei can stay alive for longer, right? With their ice block, stall, and then your Rhine is back before their tank. Their tank would have been right here while your Rhine is on point, and you would have probably won that fight. You're not taking any risks, which I don't like. Instead of backing out, let me rocket jump into their line of sight over and over. He kills you because you jump up instead of just walking up like a normal person. If you really crack, like Akward for example on Bap, you can pull this kind of DPS off while still healing your team with the combos. But you're focused only on DPSing and not on healing at all. And your team hasn't shown you yet that they're hard feeding. Like, I think your team is playing pretty okay right now, right? And I feel like a lot of the fights they just die because you're not healing them. So you have this mindset of I need to carry, but it's actually you letting your team die. And I can see how your stats are high. Like your aim is actually getting better. I'll put it in 1.5 speed. But this was a pretty well-played fight by you. You actually get out. For the first time, use your lamp to save your team. You see how you're winning? Turn the fight around? Because you're actually also kind of healed your teammates as a support instead of only DPSing. Now you're back to DPSing, but it worked. And that was good. That was the first good fight you had. Good job. If you're in front of your DPS, that's usually bad for support. And it hasn't gotten you killed yet, but it's risk at the wrong time. Good lamp. Save 2 at least. Well, you had enough time to place it in a spot to where it can save you and you're a soldier without being shot. But what happens is the way you place it, right? They shoot it down and then you still die. Like you literally still die to the anti-after. It was actually good reaction time, but bad placement of the lamp. A lamp placement can actually carry teamfights on its own. If you place the lamp around the corner where the enemy can't hit them, you're basically invulnerable for how long it lasts, right? If you think about it. It's an OP ability. You want to be aware. Okay, I'm happy I actually decided against windowing there. But right there, you really want to be careful. And look at what your Rhine is doing. Like you're 100% relying on your Rhine to shield you. I mean, if he shields it properly, he can probably save you. But you are playing an angle completely away from the rest of your team. So there is a good chance the Rhine actually shields like this angle, like this. And the soldier can just walk in and kill you. You won, right? You want to be aware of where they are. But your Rhine holds it down. And then you realize you don't need the window, which that's good. You want to really keep the Rhine up here. Okay, good. Lamp. Again, like, kind of out of position. You could have placed it a bit more to the right? But it saved the Rhine there. That was a good lamp. To bring up the rocket boot thing again, right? You can use it here to go high ground. Maybe behind you. There with this soldier on top, if you want to. Like right now, I would probably do it. Missed the immortality. You should have probably backed out earlier, but I feel like you could have kept your Rhine up. Honestly, I'm happy with how you... This is some good ult usage. This is some of the best ult usage, like some of the best trigger discipline for ult usage I've seen. Like you're looking for windows, realize it's not going to be good enough, and you cancel it. That's honestly better than me in that aspect. Otherwise, it's a fucking dog shit. This is kind of a DPS Baptiste issue. Kind of remind me of the DPS Moiras that then go, I have 4 gold, guys. Positioning wise, not the worst. And here, that's really low value. Move up with your Rhine, but then you peek in the open. And you're just like kind of banking on the fact that the enemy is not going to hit you. They have a Widow and a Cassidy. And yeah, I know Baptiste is OP. If you cast Lamp right here, you can't die. Like if you cast it like right here in the hallway. But instead you get like so cocky, you keep on shooting the guy that's getting pocketed by the Mercy, and you just die. This is where you take high ground, and that's the correct way to use rocket boots. It's pretty simple, but you definitely do not want to sit in the Widow line of sight. You live with 1 HP. The funny thing is, on this distance, the fall off probably started. So this is the first time in a long time I've seen the Widow nerf actually affect the shot. That doesn't mean you played it correctly. You fed like a dumbass. You just stood in the open against a Widowmaker. Like, look at me. Okay. You take it up the ass and still stand there. Well, you're alive, so it worked out. Which means you did everything correctly. Kappa. Your Hanzo got a kill, they rezzed. And now you're ego peeking again instead of focusing on healing your Reinhardt. You're not a DPS, okay?
I don't care. I don't.
You are the main healing your team has. Right here, you want to, like, the Rhine is already, like, look at the Rhine. Like, the Rhine in front of your face was, like, yellow for, like, 5 seconds. And he's, like, panicking. And instead of, like, you know, like, let me shoot their DPS instead of helping my Rhine. And then you shift for yourself because you pick the DPS, you know, and they hit you. A lot of the fights you lost were 100% on you just not healing on BAP. So, you're regrouping, right? Your Rhine is back. And he's walking in. And instead of walking behind your Rhine shield, you place the lamp on the corner, which to ego You place a lamp on the corner to ego peek the DPS. In what world do you think you can kill a Widow on that distance? And you know, you might need that lamp in like a few seconds. And now you have an 18-second cooldown or 20-second cooldown for the ability you might have to use on your Rhine like very soon. And now you're also, another thing is you're stuck here now. Like, and you realize, oh shit, I have to get through. So you're like, what is this? Yes. Think sees Neo. If you realize you can't make it, you stay in that corner and spam long range heals and hope your Rhine stays up, right? Instead of just walking in the open against a Widow on a long range map and a Cassidy just looking at you. I mean, it's actually impressive you stayed alive that long. Another lamp to walk in, which you don't really need. There was nothing actually contesting you. You need to look where their DPS are and if they can shoot you. And instead, again, instead of healing your tank and your Genji that's critical in front of you, and then you stay top instead of healing, you get the kill, but again, now your tank is dead, and you should 100% lose that fight. If you win this, it's actually a miracle. Are you gonna pop off? Your brick pops rally. In this situation, I actually don't mind that you're DPSing because your brick has rally up. So as long as your brick stays alive, you will get the passive healing. So this is actually the first time it's a correct call. You're DPSing, but I don't think you made that call consciously. I think you're always shooting, so. And you stay behind your Rhine here. I think you just stay behind your Rhine instead of jump. Like, what are you doing? Why are you not? Okay, you're not a deep. This is just a hard throw by you. You're letting your entire team die right now to flank their Cassidy Mercy? To ego peek them 2v1? It's actually a miracle that your Rhine is still alive, and your Rhine actually saves your ass. You did nothing that fight. You actually tried to throw really hard and your team kind of pulled it off. And your Rhine is critical behind you and you ego peek the Cassidy instead.
Don't care, don't care, don't care, still don't care.
Oh,
I
man.
don't care. I don't.
Like, it's a 2v5 and you still end up dying after your team lifting your ass. After all of that you just pulled off, that you got away with, which you should have never had. It is a 5 versus 2. Everyone on your team is alive. All you have to do is back out. Of course, it would be nicer if they die. But if you let them get out, there's not really anything wrong with it, right? The rest of the team is still respawning. So there's nothing wrong with backing out here and pushing the cart and winning the game. But because you are playing Rambo here, your brick has to push the fucking cart. Either waiting here until a passive kicks in or walking back to point. You re-peek with 1 HP and no cooldowns up. Twice, and you die. GG. Well played, or not well played, I should say. I got him, boys. Let's go over your submission again. The game went okay. I had to carry. It's so funny to me. You say you had to carry, but you never gave your team any chance to do anything. You just let them die. You started DPSing from second 1 and DPS for basically the entire game. The fights where you actually didn't DPS as much and kept your team up, you won. And by you just DPSing, you threw a ton of fights by dying first. Or letting your team die first. I got the highest stats on my team. This is what makes me angry. I made an entire video about why stats don't matter in Overwatch. And you are the perfect example here. And this replay is a perfect example why stats don't matter. You had the highest damage on the team because you let your DPS die, you let your tank die, and you didn't give your DPS any chance to deal any damage because you didn't heal them. So I understand why your stats look high. It's funnily enough you threw, while your stats probably look the highest on the team. The carry potential in BAP comes from the fact that you can DPS while healing, but you only DPSed. So if you want to start out and you want to adapt that playstyle, again, I can only encourage you to start healing first and then implement DPSing later. Yes, your teammates are also gonna be bad sometimes. Okay, everyone has bad teammates. In every rank, it happens. Start off healing more, and when you realize that the damage of your team is not enough, then you can start DPSing more yourself. But again, you never gave your DPS a chance to even prove that the damage was high enough. My aim isn't amazing and positioning needs work. I think your aim was fine, honestly. When you say your positioning needs work, you played like Rambo. I hope that was helpful though. I think that was pretty insightful. It's not your team. You suck. Stop being Rambo, get better. Supports are supposed to support while you can still get damage in. That's what makes support so fucking strong. Contestant number 2 today is Floody, currently in Bronze 5, and he has a very interesting story to share here. Strong improvement in a 57 game losing streak. In the past, I played Baptiste like a heal bot and used only my weapon for self-defense and was always in the mid-gold range. Then I saw Akward's Unranked to GM and now play much more on damage. My damage is always almost on par with my DPS's teammates, and my healing isn't much lower on average compared to all the other healers either. I also die much less than any player in the lobby by now. This improvement of my playstyle resulted in a 57 game losing streak. This is really no joke. And the replay code is the last game. There's just no way. And he links a little picture with it. Dropping from gold 2 to bronze 5 on. Akward is an amazing player and he's really smart on Baptiste. But I think people get the wrong ideas from his replays. So when Akward has these games on Baptiste where his team doesn't do anything, he goes in mega damage mode and just hard carries, right? While still trying to keep his team up, you're probably not on Akward's level and you're not hard stuck in plat when you should be in GM, right? So let's see what Flatliner does here, right? But if you want to do what you're doing right now, okay, you just started healing, thank you. But if you want to play DPS only, then you can pick a DPS character, right?
No.
Forward positioning on the high ground, use the rocket boots to get on, and this is honestly a good position. This does not feel like a bronze 5 game. If you lose this, you might be a winner. Maybe you are the person to finally prove to me that Elo Hell is real. And you're cleaning up more. The issue is that everyone on your team thinks they're DPS, including your other support as well. So nobody pushed the car during all of that, right? That looked really cool, but like, there's really no point in killing the entire enemy team and not moving the card for 15 seconds, because that means is the enemy team is just gonna respawn. You can win 50 fights in a row. As long as you don't move your card, you're not gonna win the game, you know? You see everyone on your team, and you see that your Moira, Echo are fine, but you also see that your soldier is not fine. And look how long it takes you here to actually even realize. You don't even realize that the soldier is low. Like, look at how long, and this is a long time in Overwatch. And the funny thing is, you still don't realize that your soldier is low. Like, you still don't realize. You just let him die. And that is 100% on you. This is a long ass time in Overwatch. And you just let, you didn't even you didn't even realize your soldier was alive. And then you jumped down yourself for no reason? You know, you didn't use your abilities. Abilities in Overwatch are pretty good. They win you games, believe it or not. You know, are you getting juked by the enemy? What is happening? Okay. I mean, you almost died there because you reacted kind of late and you used your lamp kind of late, but it worked out. Killed the enemy Mercy, and that was great by you. That was a good job. You play much more on damage after you've seen Akward's Unranked to GM, okay. Which is a fine playstyle. You can play an aggressive BAP, but an aggressive BAP that does not mean frontlining. Like, this is way too far forward. You're not playing a damage BAP, you're playing a frontline BAP. It would be a way better choice to actually just rocket jump or a rocket... What do you call it? Like, if you're up here, you probably still don't have damage fall off. You can still deal the maximum damage you have while being able to keep your team up, while being able to use your lamp to save your team, right? Instead, you frontline. The Genji doesn't even punish you for it. The Genji should have actually killed you. And in fact, if the Genji plays a bit slower, and now you're still out of position. You're in the front lines against a visor carry gold, and you just die here. You will just die here, right? Surely. Actually impressive that you're alive still. Your team is gonna die instead of you. Yeah. 100% a positioning issue. You're not Rambo. As soon as your ball runs in here, right, you try to keep him up, but this angle is really... I mean, he kind of suicides, to be fair. But if you were on high ground, is what I'm saying is, if you were on high ground, if you look at your positioning from high ground, you could probably just still throw the lamp right to here, right, and probably keep him up for a bit longer at least. Your soldier should have also backed out earlier here, but you can heal him. If you're saying you copied Akward's DPS playstyle, Akward would have definitely tried to heal the soldier there. You have both cooldowns up still. You could have saved your soldier, at least for a bit. Okay, you finally take high ground, and now you're trying to fight Reaper close range, which is kind of scary, but you get it. Good job. You jump down again for no reason? I don't know why you give up high ground there. This is where I would jump back up. Like, again, the same mistake you did last fight, right? Where you are not in a position to heal your tank, and you're still not using your... Like, it's actually a miracle your monkey lived so long, right? Like, he was purple 1 in a high SR game, your monkey dies there. You want to be more proactive with your plays. Their tank is dead and yours is still alive. It's winnable. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but your second support died, which means you're the only healing the team has. So now you want to focus on the healing, and you can keep your tank up here. Like, you see that he's still critical. Like, you just stop healing him, even though he's clearly in your line of sights. And you just turn around and start shooting again. And you let him die. Guess my monkey dies. And if your monkey was alive here, maybe, you know, you have a bubble that could have saved your team from that visor. And they have the respawn advantage here, right? Like, it looks like an even fight, but, like, they're gonna be back and you're gonna lose. Yeah. And, I mean, it's fine if you get out here alive, but, like, this is a you issue, man. Look at me, guys. I have the highest stats on the team. So you get the kill, which is fine, but now you see your Moira is in trouble. She's anti. Use the lamp. Right now. Whatever. It's too early for this shit. Well, you need to be careful that, like, so the thing is, you still want one of your teammates on point. So I'd be, you know, like, make sure that, there's that aim. Please heal your team. 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 What is DPSing? Well, you won the round. You can win this game. Whatever. Akward is a bad influence on support mains. Honestly, like, your aiming is great, especially if you are actually bronze 5. This is great aiming for bronze 5. I mean, you've been a gold player before, right? So you're definitely not lacking in that department. And I mean, that's again on you. You definitely had enough time to get behind this cover. And this doesn't look like a lot, but if you play this cover correctly here, you can still keep your Orisa up while you yourself are kind of safe. You cannot cross that space if the enemy is shooting you, obviously, right? So you want to think ahead, right? What is going to happen in like a few seconds from now, right? If they keep on pushing the card, which is very likely to happen because they're up 1, if you're in that position, when the card is here, you're very exposed. Like, you have no cover, and then you have to play this corner, which is still fine, you can still do that. But if you want to make your job easier and still keep your tank up, the issue with this corner is that if your Orisa is still in this position, it's hard to heal her, right? But if you're here, if you look at it, it's gonna be pretty easy to like shoulder pick the Orisa no matter where she is, right? If she has to fall back into this little room, or if she falls back towards here, you can still keep her up. Like, your tank gets slapped, the enemy pushes in, you use lamp, you tried your best to keep the tank up, it didn't work, they used 2 ults, at this point the fight is over. But at this point I would just die on card. Because the chance of you staggering and dying late is very high. That's the safest choice. And if you get out here, that's fine, but the issue with you is that instead of backing out, right, realizing you're down 3, and you are down 3, right, it's only you and Sojourn alive, you keep on re-peeking, right, you go back in, you peek, right? And then you get punished for it.
Hey.
And this is not on no one of your team, like, it's not their fault you're dying here, because you're the only one up here, and your team is still dead. The consequence is, your team or your Orisa dies again because you're not there to help her, right? Your Ana is still respawning. She couldn't have helped them, right? If you backed out and you were playing here, you could easily like stay alive and wait for a full team fight. But you use everything for yourself only and you don't do anything with it either. It would have been fine if you used the lamp and kill, but that's a risky play, right? Like, you still have to win the fight 2v1 there. So, your Orisa dies, now you have no cooldowns and you die, because now you're out of position. You're like so focused, that's a great pickoff, but I think another issue with you is...
Hi, how are you?
You have like these moments where you like tunnel vision on a kill. During those times where you spend like a few seconds just shooting the enemy, it's very easy for your team to die as well, right? Like, this is a long time that you spend here shooting, which it's great that you get the kill, but then I don't know why you jump down, by the way. Like, you jump into the graph.
What?
You have the cooldowns, it's fine for you to stay up here, drop the lamp down, right? And stay alive. Instead you jump into it. And then now you're in the enemy can recoil and they blade. Of course you die. If you stayed up there, you probably live. Your tank maybe dies, but like, you stay alive and it's at least a 4v4 because you got the kill on the Ana. And yeah, now, I mean, it's a staggered fight. Why are you... Why? But you understand your team has to touch, right? You probably won't touch because you would die very fast even if you drop lamp to point. But you see your Mei walking in with you, right? You're not in troubles of dying here. You're full HP. and you turn around and you see your Mei walking in. What I would do right now is turn around, back around, window here, right? So the enemy at least can't peek you. She can ice block, and then after the ice block is over, you can drop Immortality Field. And if you make her stay alive for another 5-6 seconds, then your tank is back and you can turn the fight around. Instead, you just walk back and you sit there. You let your Mei die, and now you let your Ana die probably, right? Now your Ana dies. And you still haven't used any cooldowns. And now they're in your spawn, so now you can't even peek anymore properly. Because you didn't use your cooldowns properly. Flatliner. Decent aim. Decent positioning. But let's be honest here. You did not carry your team. You focused too much on damaging. You let your team die as a support. You had multiple fights you lost for your team. And while I don't think your team played great, I don't think you did either. Lamp is one of the best abilities in the game. Probably the best non-ult ability in the game. And you misused it quite a bunch. Not your team. You suck.
Get better.
Until next time. See you guys. Bye-bye.